Greetings, everybody. Mark here. What's going on? Hey, something very interesting occurred to me the other day, and that was that while Goku is a Super Saiyan God, Vegeta has been shown to transform into Super Saiyan God, and Frieza has the ability to power up into the golden form that we see in Resurrection F, kind of putting him on the same level as the gods. It got me thinking, does that mean necessarily that Cell could have the ability to transform into a Super Saiyan God? Now, I got to give credit to my man Sifu on this. You can follow him on Twitter at BlackFang402. He brought this up to me and he was throwing out the idea, and it really got me thinking. And I just got to thinking here, it's possible. It is totally possible. Why wouldn't it be possible? So, if you didn't know this, Cell is combined of, as his name suggests, the cellular structure and the DNA of a variety of the Z Fighters and a bunch of Dragon Ball characters, including Frieza and obviously Tien and Goku and Vegeta, Piccolo, etc., etc., etc. So, with all that being said, his cellular structure does have Saiyan DNA, does have Frieza's DNA, and it does make me wonder that isn't that possible that in the afterlife he could totally be, training up to be some sort of Super Saiyan Frieza race god-like character? Like, think about it for a second. So, while canon events don't actually, well, let me put it this way. In the manga, the events that we see in the Otherworld where Cell and Frieza and King Cole and the Ginyu Force are all causing trouble, that doesn't actually happen in the manga. That's an anime filler only thing. So whether it's canon or not, that's for you guys to talk about. I know the manga is largely considered the primary source of canon material, where the anime has been altered and filled in with extra material to kind of keep the series going, and it's not considered canon, but that's for you guys. But however, it still doesn't change the fact that Cell is made up of the same character's DNA. So if he is in the other life, and he does have his body, which he would need in order for them to torture in the home for infinite losers, or in hell, whatever you want to call that. If he has his body, I mean, couldn't he be training in some sort or some capacity to where he could become a god-like character? I mean, look, the prerequisite and the requirements to be an actual god in this series are not actually known. I mean, Lord Beerus and his history, we don't know that yet. Hopefully they'll expand more on that in Dragon Ball Super, the series that's debuting in Japan right now. But at this point, we don't really know. We just know there are gods. We do know that there are characters with unfathomable power. We do know that Goku, if he gathers up the energy of several other Saiyans and they come together and lend him his energy, he can harness for a short time, albeit, the Super Saiyan God transformation. And then in Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, the latest movie to be released, they do show the blue-haired form, the Dragon Ball, the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan form, or whatever it is that you want to call that, the name, working title, whatever. But if that be the case, then that means that anyone with a certain amount of power for their particular race could be a god, right? I mean, I know that Frieza is not considered a god. I don't think that he earned that status, but he does have power that can certainly keep up with the gods for at least a short while. And I say that being Goku and Vegeta, who are both quote-unquote gods. Now, whether or not they've just tapped into the potential of the power, whether or not they're actually gods, whether or not they're the official representation of the Saiyan God or the god of the Saiyans or whatever it is that you want to call it, it's hard to say. I mean, for them to actually have something called a Super Saiyan God would imply that there have been gods in the past that had this title, whether or not there's like some sort of process or procedure or something that needs to take place to give them the title of the god of Super Saiyans or whatever it is that you want to call it. Then that makes for a very interesting subject matter. But if Cell is comprised of the genetics of those characters, then he should be able to transform into that with proper training as well, right? I mean, Cell was stronger than both Vegeta and Goku. There was just no way either one of them could keep up. I mean, they trained in the living world for a while. Even Goku had training in the afterlife, and they were both able to far surpass that of Cell. We saw this in the Majin Buu saga, and then obviously way after that during the events of Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. So after all this time, isn't it possible that Cell in the Otherworld could totally be doing this too? I mean, look, if I was Cell and I was in the afterlife and I'm sitting there being tortured or whatever in hell, I'm definitely going to be looking for my revenge and finding some way to get back to Earth. Now, obviously, this is a bit of a stretch, so please forgive me. Don't try to correct me a ton. This is just a conversation point and a piece that I would love to talk to you guys about in the comments below. So if you guys have any alternate thoughts, please share that with me. But we do know, for example, that Majin Buu can bounce back and forth between dimensions. And I say that considering that the other world is probably a dimension. It's not like a destination you could just fly to in a spaceship. You actually have to, teleport outside of your own dimension and get into the other world dimension, which is something that Majin Buu can do. Now, I don't know if Cell can do that, but I would imagine that if anyone could figure it out, it would have to be Cell. And I think that's because after he dies and comes back to life, he gets the instant transmission technique, something that we know is a fact because he was in the Kai planet. Now, if he was on the Kai planet, King Kai's planet that blew up, and he regenerated and teleported back to Earth, we do know that Kai's planet is technically in the vicinity of the Otherworld dimension. So he can bounce back and forth between dimensions as well, now that I think about it. Like, he totally could. It could totally happen. So if that's the case, and Cell can freely move back and forth between both of those dimensions, in theory, isn't it possible that he could be training and could obtain a god form of some sort? I mean, there probably isn't an android god that's like an artificial character. And truth be told, he's not really an android anyway. By definition, the android would be what? Part robot, part human, or that's a cyborg. An android is like an entire robot that's built to look like a human, which actually makes Android 17 and 18 and even Android 20 not really androids at all. They're considered cyborgs in the Westwood dub. I think that's the dub that airs in Canada and in the UK. They're considered cyborgs, not androids. I think only the North American version considers that. You can correct me on that. I'm thinking. That's not an actual fact. But either way, my overall point here is that if Cell can bounce between dimensions, and he's made up of the cellular structure of characters that have obtained godlike powers, and he could train an Otherworld in some way, if he could do anything, then, in theory, he could totally do it. Now, I only want to further support this theory based on some of the events, and do not hate me, because I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball GT, but when Goku goes to hell, and in Dragon Ball GT as a kid, and he's fighting Frieza and Cell, they've both powered up immensely. Now, they can't keep up with Goku because Goku's been training as well, but this does imply that they do have the freedom and the ability to train and battle and do whatever it is that they're doing and become stronger in some way or another. But Frieza says himself in Resurrection F that he was able to power up into this new golden form somewhere between 4 to 6 months. He says 4 months, but actually 6 months have passed, so they don't actually totally confirm how long it took, but let's just say 4 to 6 months just for the sake of the conversation. If in 4 to 6 months, Frieza can go from his power level that he had on Earth before being sliced and diced like some Super Saiyan sashimi and then, destroyed by Super Saiyan Trunks, and then he's in the afterlife, does some training there or whatever, gets brought back to life, and then trains for 4 to 6 months, it may not be that long for this character to be able to power up into the golden form that he is. So, in theory, if he could do that, Cell could easily obtain that power way before Frieza could, just because he's adaptable, he has the Saiyan abilities. I mean, if Saiyans can die and be brought back to life, or face near-death experience, and then come back and be stronger than ever, Cell's easily growing stronger. Every battle that he gets into, he could be more powerful. This means that before Frieza even got brought back to life in Resurrection F, Cell could have been way stronger than him, but he just had no means of getting back to Earth. Except for the sheer fact that he could use the instant transmission, he just chooses not to. That almost suggests that Cell could probably come back to life at any time he wants. Well, not back to life, but he could come back to the living world anytime that he would want to. Goku, for instance, can't use the instant transmission technique as a kid, which is why he ends up getting stuck in hell and can't get out within GT. But enough about that nonsense. But if, in theory, though, what is to keep Cell from actually leaving the dimension of Otherworld? Instant transmission, bro. Why can't you just do that to escape? Look, I get that there are probably some logistical reasons behind all this, and I totally understand that Akira Toriyama does tend to write himself into plot holes and loopholes, and he can't dig himself out, and he just otherwise ignores them and moves on, because that's just kind of what you got to do. But as someone who's spent some great deal of time thinking about this over the past 48 hours, I would like to suggest that Cell totally could be a severe threat to the Super Saiyan gods, and could even be a threat to all the Z Fighters on Earth, and could totally put everybody in a bad position and threaten the entire galaxy once more. I mean, Beerus isn't going to step in. He's not really one to help out the Z Fighter. He's just there. He's just, he's neutral, but he does have a temper, which caused him to blow up planets. Either way, let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious to know whether or not you guys agree or disagree, and I'm okay with either one. This is just for a friendly debate. I'm just curious. Is Cell a god? Or can Cell obtain the Super Saiyan God form, or can Cell obtain a God form? It's up to you what you want to call that, but I do think that it's totally possible. Either way, let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious to hear from you. Provide down below in the comments section some thoughts, some, whatever it is that you guys think. Correct me on anything that you think that I need to be corrected on that I'm not considering here, but I spent a great deal of time thinking about this, so I would like to think I got my bases covered. But either way, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you guys think. thank you for watching the video, guys. Much appreciated. Let's talk about it down below in the comments. Provide a like. Subscribe if you'd like as well. I would really like to hear feedback on this. It really sparks an interesting conversation piece. But either way, thank you for watching, guys. Much appreciated. I'll talk to you guys down in the comments below. See you next time. Later.